The movie starts in Pune Province, Afghanistan. Tony Stark, a playboy philanthropist and visionary CEO, chats with soldiers in a Humvee. Suddenly his convoy is attacked by terrorists called the Ten Rings. Stark is injured by shrapnel from his company's weapons and captured. The movie then flashes back 36 hours earlier to Las Vegas, where Tony is presenting his latest weapons. At a young age, Tony quickly made a name for himself with his brilliant mind. At 21, he lost his parents in a car accident. After his father's death, Obadiah Stane took over as interim CEO until Tony took over Stark Industries, becoming the youngest CEO. After the presentation, James Rhodes presents the Apogee Award to Tony, but since Stark is absent, Stane accepts it. Rhodes later finds Tony gambling and hands him the award. Christine Everhart, a journalist, questions Stark about his company's ethics in weapons manufacturing. Tony deflects, asserting that the world needs weapons for peace. The next morning, Tony's assistant, Pepper Potts, reminds him about his trip to Afghanistan. Tony heads to the Stark Industries aviation division and boards a plane with Rhodes. After landing in Afghanistan, he presents the Jericho missile, explaining its immense power. As Tony's convoy drives through the desert, they are ambushed. Tony is injured and captured. The movie returns to the present, where Tony undergoes surgery to remove the shrapnel from his chest. He wakes up to find an electromagnet attached to his chest, powered by a car battery, thanks to fellow captive Yinsen. Yinsen explains that the electromagnet keeps the shrapnel from reaching Stark's heart. During their conversation, someone bangs on the door and Yinsen urges Stark to stand. They meet Abu Bakr, who demands that Stark rebuild the Jericho missile. Stark refuses, leading to torture by the terrorists. The Ten Rings then show Stark their vast collection of Stark Industries weapons. Bakr promises freedom if Tony builds the missile, but Stark knows better. That night, a heartbroken Stark is comforted by Yinsen, who encourages him to do something positive with his legacy. Realizing his predicament, Tony begins working. Under the guise of building the missile, Stark and Yinsen secretly construct a powerful electric generator called an arc reactor to power Stark's electromagnet. Stark shares his escape plan with Yinsen, involving the creation of an armored suit. They start working on the suit. Their progress is interrupted by Raza, the Ten Rings leader. Suspicious, Raza threatens Yinsen, but Stark intervenes. When the suit is nearly ready, the terrorists discover their plan and attack. Yinsen sacrifices himself to buy time, allowing Stark to power up the suit. Stark fights his way out, eliminating terrorists with his armored suit. He encounters the dying Yinsen, who urges him not to waste his life. Enraged, Stark escapes the cave, destroys the terrorists' weapon stash, and flies away. But the suit is damaged in the crash landing. Stark is rescued by Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes. Back in the United States, Stark reunites with Pepper Potts and Obadiah Stane. He holds a press conference announcing Stark Industries will no longer manufacture weapons, shocking everyone. Stane intervenes, trying to downplay Stark's statement. Later, Stark meets Stane by the giant arc reactor, where Stane advises reconsidering the decision, fearing it will ruin the company. Stark insists on exploring arc reactor technology, showing Stane the one in his chest. At his Malibu mansion, Stark asks Potts to help replace his arc reactor. She assists and keeps the original engraved with proof Tony Stark has a heart. Tony builds a new, more advanced suit, the Mark II, capable of controlled flight. During the first test flight, the suit freezes at high altitude, nearly killing Stark. He redesigns the suit with a gold titanium alloy to prevent icing. Watching news of a charity event hosted by his company, Stark, who wasn't invited, decides to attend. At the party, Stark is confronted by Everhart, who reveals Stark Industries is still supplying weapons to the Ten Rings. Furious, Stark questions Stane, who admits to betraying him. At home, Stark sees news of atrocities committed by the Ten Rings in Yinsen's homeland. Enraged, he dons the new suit and flies to Afghanistan, destroying the terrorists and their weapons. The U.S. military, led by Rhodes, notices the commotion and sends F-22 Raptors to intercept. Stark accidentally destroys one jet but saves the pilot before escaping. Meanwhile, the Ten Rings salvage Stark's prototype suit. Stane travels to Afghanistan, takes the suit remains, and kills Raza, planning to create his own suit. Back in the U.S., Stark asks Potts to investigate. She hacks into Stark Industries' database, uncovering Stane's betrayal and his plan to kill Stark. Potts narrowly avoids being caught and hands the evidence to Agent Coulson. Stane's scientists struggle to recreate the arc reactor, so Stane paralyzes Stark and steals his. Stark manages to survive using his old reactor and confronts Stane, now in his own armored suit. After a fierce battle, Stark, with Potts' help, overloads the large arc reactor, defeating Stane. The next morning, Stark holds a press conference. Ignoring the cover story provided by Coulson, Stark declares, "I am Iron Man." In a post-credits scene, Nick Fury visits Stark, hinting at a larger universe of superheroes. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more recaps.